Recently, I tried something a little bit more unorthodox compared to my other uploads. I speedran my way to the top of getcrack.io, which is a coding practice site specifically tailored for the aspiring quant developers. How exactly did I discover getcrack.io? It isn't too complicated of a story. In my cousin's Discord server, he had sent a video by a certain YouTuber with the name of Coding Jesus. In this video, he was interviewing a former Amazon intern who seems to struggle with answering the most basic of questions.
Yeah.
What
But
does CSV stand for? Do you know?
no.
Okay. How does a CSV file look? Because you said you worked with the CSV, right?
I'm pretty sure it was Andes. I maybe like CSV and Andes aren't the same.
Okay.
I found this very entertaining, and I started watching a lot more of his videos. His videos, which mainly consisted of mock interviews, had a wide variety of topics ranging from operating systems to networking to concurrency to just granular and nuanced information about certain programming languages such as C++ and Python. And to be honest, it really hurt my pride as an aspiring quant that I didn't know a lot of these topics. My existing experience did not align with these topics, and it did not teach me the nuances that were required for a quant dev interview. Hence, I began the grind. I scrolled around on Coding Jesus' YouTube channel to check his qualifications, and lo and behold, he actually is a quant dev. So I thought the resources that he provides should actually be useful and pertain to what a quant dev interview should look like. So I did a little bit more research to see if he has any resources that he recommends to prepare for these interviews. In a lot of his older videos, he recommends a lot of books and websites. I compiled all of these resources into a spreadsheet, and I read every single one of them. It was a lot of technical information. As a matter of fact, I still believe I only chose a subset of the books that Coding Jesus actually recommends. Yet, the amount of pages that I read sums to over 5,000. Reading all of this took me around 3.5 months. But after doing so, I decided to check back in on the original YouTube channel that started me on this journey. He was actually live at the time, taking call-ins from random people in his chat, where he would just ask them random questions and test their knowledge, because that's the content that he normally does. I decided to join. I'm not gonna go over what happened during the interview, as the original interview can be found on his channel. However, after an awkward introduction of myself, he recommended me to a website that he made called getcrack.io. I found GetCrack's leaderboard to be very appealing to me. But on the old version of GetCracked, there was no leaderboard for free users. It was specifically for people who have paid for either the lifetime or monthly subscription. As a person who's unwilling to spend money, I found this very disappointing to me. However, about a month later, Coding Jesus completely renovated the website. He allowed for free users to shoot for the leaderboard, despite the fact that they have access to less questions compared to premium users. I thought it'd be fun, so I decided to see how fast I could get to the top. The goal wasn't just to reach number 1, however. I wanted to see what this platform had to offer. I wanted to see if the platform would truly be able to solidify the knowledge I had from reading all those books, like Coding Jesus promised. And I believe it did. I actually learned a lot. However, there's one thing that's a little bit off about my speedrun, which is the fact that I was already number 1 on the leaderboard before trying to speedrun back to number 1. I effectively just reset all of my progress, and I still found this to be a pretty fair gauge of whether or not I had retained the knowledge from reading, since it's very difficult to remember the answer to over 400 questions, given that you haven't done those questions in over a month. Also, the argument that, oh, you memorized the answers, isn't really one that makes too much sense, because the coding knowledge questions, such as operating systems and networking, are just memorization anyway, and the other stuff, which is like language knowledge as well as like compiler output, you sort of need to walk through it no matter what, even if you're doing it again. So the only questions I really memorize are the ones about Rust, because I do not have any experience with Rust, so I just memorized the answers for those questions. But that isn't the point of this video. The point of this video is to sort of review Get Cracked and see what it has done, both for me and for the people who potentially want to practice interviewing for quant dev. So, do I recommend Get Cracked? Kind of. It's sort of both yes and no. If you have absolutely zero experience and you're trying to lock in after partying or using ChatGPT throughout your entire college education, then no. I would start with first building the base knowledge and then using Get Cracked to solidify the important parts of that knowledge. Get Cracked does not exist to build that knowledge in the first place. It is a practice platform, like how it has been advertised. I've also seen people say that the questions on Get Cracked are just way too niche or nuanced for an actual interview. However, I've actually interviewed for a number of quant firms, and I have been asked this granular computer knowledge before. So Get Cracked is pretty useful in terms of interview prep. Effectively, what that means is if you're already a relatively competent programmer, then I would actually recommend Get Cracked. It's a pretty good website to practice your fundamentals, and it's pretty good to quiz your knowledge, and it's honestly pretty fun to do so as well. It's quite the breath of fresh air compared to your standard LeetCode or HackerRank interview prep questions. By the way, here's the clip of me reaching number 1. Oh my god. This is too... Oh, wait. This unfit behavior, you can't enter Voltas. Boom! Alright. Number 1, speedrun. I still got a few questions I gotta do, but you know, number 1, light, GG. If you want a full VOD of me doing the speedrun with commentary, I can upload the video if there is enough demand, but right now it will not be on my channel. If you're still watching, the links to Get Cracked and Coding Jesus' YouTube channel are in the description. And yeah, thanks for watching.